Welcome into Cougar Tracks here on the KSL Sports YouTube and KSL NewsRadio, your legacy home of the Cougars. I am your BYU insider, Mitch Harper. Happy as always to have you on board to the show. If you're watching or listening to the program, appreciate you. BYU basketball completed Big 12 Media Days. They made the rounds here in Kansas City, and that's our top story of the day.
The top story of the day. The biggest story in the world of BYU sports right here on Cougar Tracks.
It was an eventful day as BYU men's basketball took center stage at Big 12 Media Day. The Cougars, of course, are picked second in the preseason Big 12 coaches poll. The media poll will be released a little bit later this month. First time ever the media is getting a Big 12 basketball poll. Remember, the media, we botched it with football, picking Arizona State to finish last, and then they climbed to the top, and then they said, no more media poll in the football side of things. Let's see how we do with men's basketball. But BYU has high expectations coming into this season. Number 8 in the preseason AP Top 25. And at Media Days for BYU was Kevin Young, AJ Dybantsa, Richie Saunders, a pair of first-team All-Big 12 performers or preseason picks. And then Rob Wright, BYU transfer guard from Baylor, sophomore that's going to be, I think, an exceptional player for the Cougars. And Big 12 Media Days are a very interesting setup. It's inside an arena. A lot of conferences do their media days in hotels and conference rooms and things like that. The Big 12 always tries to roll out the stops for media days with a big venue, big event, and that's cool. I think what was different this year was the press conferences at media days were not actually press conferences. They were roundtables with Mike O'Donnell from ESPN and CBS being the moderator, and then he would interview coaches and players. And, that's fine, but kind of think I want to hear some questions from the media to the coaches. Now, maybe that's not the most visually pleasing television event, but it's media days, and the media is supposed to have its day to ask questions to the coaches and the players. So that was a little bit disappointing. I thought that it was just these roundtable conversations, and it kind of became the same thing over and over. But nonetheless, I thought it was a very interesting day at Big 12 Media Day. And, of course, my focus was on BYU and seeing the Cougars go through all the different setups inside Media Day. There was a setup with puppies from a local animal shelter in Kansas City, and even Cosmo. Cats and dogs can get along, I guess. Cosmo was holding a puppy, Rob Wright, Richie Saunders. Richie Saunders said he wasn't much of a pet guy, which for whatever reason kind of surprised me. I thought Richie would maybe be a total pet guy, but he said he wasn't. So he was holding a puppy. Like, I can relate to Richie on that front. I was never a kid growing up with a pet. I think the only pet I had was a goldfish. Growing up, maybe, there was a time I once thought it'd be cool to have a turtle, but never grew up with pets. Now I have a dog, and my family does. So kind of changed my tune there. So maybe that'll be the case one day for Richie Saunders as well. But that was fun to see. There was also a coffee station. Scott Drew was hyping up Brett Yormark, saying Big 12 does it best with Media Day. For us coffee lovers, this is the best. And they had a coffee stand. Doesn't help BYU much with the coffee stand. There was hot chocolate available, and maybe I should have tapped into the hot chocolate there for that. But by all accounts, though, pretty productive media day. Nothing too groundbreaking in terms of news. I did talk with BYU basketball head coach Kevin Young one-on-one. You'll hear that interview coming up at the early part of next week here on the program. I'll roll that out as we get ready for the season preview show coming up next week on Cougar Tracks. But I did ask Coach Young about some personnel updates because in the Nebraska game, they were a little bit limited in the amount of players available in that game. They lost to the Cornhuskers by 1. Of note, Nate Pickens, Dawson Baker, they did not play. Also, Brody Kozlowski didn't play as well. And I asked about Dawson Baker on the timeline, and Kevin Young said that Baker is progressing really well and that he noted he finally participated in live work on Tuesday, and Young noted that Baker will probably be in live action very soon. As far as Nate Pickens goes, it's a slower timeline, according to Kevin Young, and he didn't have really a definitive timeline for when Pickens is going to return. So that kind of opens the door, I would think, for Alexi Kostic, the freshman from overseas, to come in and maybe have an impact right away early on this season for the Cougars. But a guy that you know is going to have an impact for BYU this season, it's BYU senior Richie Saunders, preseason All Big 12. He was a first-team All Big 12 selection last year. He's one of the best players in the Big 12 once again, and I had the chance to catch up with Richie here in Kansas City at Big 12 Media Days.
Richie Saunders interview here at Big 12 Basketball Media Days. Richie, how do you think this team's come together in training camp as you guys get ready for the season?
I mean, just where we are today from where we were 5 months ago is incredible. Clearly a lot more to grow, and that'll come, which is just part of a new team, and it's fun. It's a fun new group, and yeah, I mean, I'm excited for what's all the growth that's going to come.
Stylistically, what's going to be different about this team, you think?
I mean, we're so focused on defense, you know, and that's like one of the things that I felt like I expressed to coaches, like I want to be part of a defensive team, and you know, like it's been clear that that's been the focus in so much of our stuff. And I mean, we're grateful again for our first little crack at seeing stuff playing against other people, and it's just part of the process. And we'll just moving forward, it's just exciting to keep growing in that, like what I already said, but with defense specifically.
Do you think leaning in more defensively, do you think that could sacrifice a little bit on the offensive end? Like, how do you see that kind of playing out potentially?
No, I mean, I don't think at all. I mean, we have so much talent, especially offensively. And so, you know, if we're defensive-minded and focused, good defense fuels good offense. And I 100% believe that.
What do you think of the heightened expectations in this program? I mean, you've seen it every step of the way here in the Big 12. 2 years ago, you guys people thought you couldn't win a game. Now you guys are right there viewed as a team that can contend with Houston. What do you think of those expectations?
I love it. Bring it on. You know, I want to be a part of winning, and I want to win big. So I'm just excited.
And also your thoughts on the non-conference schedule, all the challenges you guys are going to have.
I mean, it's exciting. We got to figure it out early. We can't wait till going down 1-3 in conference. You know, and that's what we're all about, is figuring it out early.
What are we going to figure out about you that's different this season, your senior year?
Yeah, I want to be notably a much better defender. It's one of the reasons why I came back, is I want to be so much better on-ball defender.
Well, it's interesting you say that, because I feel like a few years ago, like that was kind of like the calling card for you, like a relentless defender. But you feel like there's more to be had on that end for you.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. I really want to just help lead a good defensive program.
How much are you enjoying the guys that are here in KC with you? AJ, Rob, what have they brought in your relationship with them?
No, it's been awesome. I mean, we have to figure it out together on the court and off the court, but they're just good guys, and really excited that they're here and just part of the program, and excited to do this with them specifically.
Last thing for you, Richie, what's different about KY in year two?
I mean, he knows a little bit more what he's doing from a college standpoint. It's clear that, like, you know, it's such an adjustment coming from the NBA, and this year he strictly knows what he's doing, like knows what he wants specifically, and it's been really good. Everything is so specific about what we're working on, what we're doing in practice. Everything is so specific.
I know I said the last thing, but I one more. First team All Big 12 last year, now preseason All Big 12. Going to be a bigger target on your back going into this year.
I'm ready. Let's roll. I've had a really good summer, a lot of work, and excited just to go win games.
That's Richie Saunders from Big 12 Basketball Media Day. Let's take a break. On the other side, you'll hear from Coach Kevin Young and AJ Dybantsa coming up here on Cougar Tracks on KSL News Radio and the KSL Sports YouTube page. Welcome back into Cougar Tracks here on the KSL Sports YouTube. If you haven't done so already, subscribe to the KSL Sports YouTube page, like this video, notification bells, get all that action on the KSL Sports YouTube and subscribe to the audio format of this podcast wherever you get your podcasts. Apple, Spotify, Overcast, Pocket Cast, so many different ways to subscribe and leave a rating and a review. It would help out the show a ton. So at Big 12 Basketball Media Day, I know I noted the press conferences, you don't get to ask questions much to the coaches. Now, I should clarify. There were some opportunities to ask. They would say, anyone in the media want to ask a question? And then a media member asked a question to Bill Self about the fashion in basketball, how it's changed from suits to quarter zips, and they almost acted taken aback of how dare you ask that question. So it wasn't an inviting environment to allow for questions. Look, you're going to get some duds. You're going to get some head-scratching questions at these press conferences. It happens. But that's what the point of Media Day is, to get some fun moments and some maybe different questions than your typical game week, game prep type questions. Anyway, along with the press conferences or the roundtable conversations that were made for TV, there is some breakout periods with coaches, typically 20 minutes. I spent my time with BYU because I wanted to hear everything that Kevin Young had to say, so there wasn't much time to go bounce around and hear from Grant McCasland, Scott Drew. It is what it is. You have to do what you got to do, but this was the breakout session with BYU head coach Kevin Young, and his first question was just asked about, from a media member, about how things are going in year two and what went into the decision to select Richie, AJ Dybantsa, and Rob Wright as the attendees for Big 12 Media Day. This is Kevin Young.
I'm somewhat of a collaboration, I think, with the school and with our communication department. I think they're, the three headliners. Call it for what it is, probably our three best players, and, I'm sure people want to hear what they have to say.
Kevin, with the way you never had to do with it, the rules are different how you can play exhibition games. What do you think? What was your mentality kind of going into how you did it this year? And what do you think how it prepares you guys?
Well, last year we played a friend of mine who's the head coach at Colorado Christian, and we played Boise State in a secret scrimmage or whatever they're called nowadays. This year we wanted to just across the board just have a little steeper competition. The Boise game was good last year. I think opening it up to fans, making it feel a little bit more real. Unfortunately, this year we were super banged up in our first one, so we didn't get we learned some, but we didn't learn what we really wanted to learn. But I think in general, honestly, I wish it was more like the NBA. I hate practicing for 8 straight months. I guess it's 4 or 5 straight months where you're just going against each other. Just in talking to a lot of the coaches, I think you get your own guys banged up. I wish we could play more just so you get different looks, different bodies, and things like that. So I'm in favor of them. I like them, and hopefully in the future we can get more of them.
What's the right zone?
I don't know. I'll be honest. I don't know a lot of stuff about college basketball. I'm learning. This was different than it was last year. So I would be lying to you if I said we had some great formula. It was hey, good team wants to play us, let's play them. And so I don't know. If I had to just take a first stab at it, I don't know. Could you do 4? Could you do 4? That'd feel better than practicing against each other every single day, I think.
What's something in college basketball that you like more in this sport than you did in the NBA?
Well, the NBA is really hard because of just how many games there are. I think it waters down health. I think it waters down the product. But it also makes it a war of attrition, which I think is it's very different than college. The best teams win in the NBA, right? You're not sneaking up on anyone in a 7-game series. The best team's going to win. And so I do like the fact that we have less games. I think it makes every game more meaningful. I think I'm a huge football guy. Football is awesome because, especially really in the NFL and in college, every game is a huge game, right? And I think that's similar in college basketball, and I like that.
Kevin, if you looked at all the high major leagues this year, there's going to be about 65 to 70% of starting lineups will be like newcomers, starting players. You don't see that kind of turnover. What do you think of the amount of turnover that's happening in college basketball, how it is to come in?
Honestly, man, I don't mind it. It is what it is. Like, I mean, and we all have our own journeys, right? I mean, I was a minor league coach for 9 years. I mean, I get new guys every 5 days, and this was before two-way contracts. I remember, and I won't bore you guys with old stories, but we were in Erie, Pennsylvania, and Tommy Shepard, the GM of the Wizards at the time, called me. He was like, "Hey, we're calling up. I forget who it was. Your best player, by the way, he averages 25 points a game. Dude's gone. I got to go play a game that night, right?" So honestly, I've been used to like piecemealing groups of teams together. Is it ideal? No. It changes how you coach. I think you have to do less. I think you have to be. I think you can't overwhelm the players because you don't have years and years and years to build all the continuity and so forth. And so it's like kind of an adapt or die type of mentality. And until the rules change, I don't think it's going to be any different. So you got to figure it out, which I think everyone's trying to do.
Kevin, with North Carolina coming in Friday, another exhibition, do you want to kind of the same approach that you had with Nebraska, or will the approach change at all? What are you trying to get out of this?
Yeah, I mean, it's going to depend on health, really, for us. I mean, Rob Wright was on a minute restriction in that game, so I chose to only play the starters together, which in a real game I would never do that. So it's really going to depend on health. And but again, you only get two of them, right? So you got to, what's most important for us will be to try to, I think, sub it the way I would more of a normal game, but depending on the bill of health with not just Rob, we had 3 other guys that were completely out of that game. That's what it's really going to depend upon.
Is any of those guys serious, or is there any concern?
So we have at the moment, I think we have 4 guys that are out. I think 2 of them are not anything that we're overly concerned about. 2 of them are stuff that we're monitoring, and the guys aren't coming back tomorrow in that case.
What were some key areas of focus for you, Kevin, in roster construction this year compared to last year's team?
Well, once we got AJ committed and we knew he was coming, we pushed pause on all of our recruiting. We pretty much stopped recruiting any other high school player. I don't remember the timeline. Xavier was someone that we felt good about, but everybody else we kind of paused on, including like really, really good players in terms of 5-star guys, international guys, but they were young. So we wanted to prioritize, veterans. We want to prioritize shooting. We want to prioritize perimeter defense. And so that was kind of, if you look at the guys we brought in, Tyler Maruss, second most made threes in Big Sky. Kennard Davis I think has a chance to be one of the best kind of 3-and-D guys in the country this year. Nate Pickens is in that same ilk. Rob is an experienced guy that we felt we needed at the kind of head of the snake type thing to guide our group once he was in the portal. So that's kind of how that went down.
You guys had a plan with the portal. Do you almost like have a staff where you're kind of monitoring, other rosters in the country to see players if they do hit the portal? You guys are ready at the moment that they do hit.
Yeah, I mean, you guys have heard, those that follow our program closely. I mean, we really do try to operate like an NBA franchise. Not saying that's right, it's just what I know and it's what I'm comfortable with. Just so happens that what I'm doing now in college is a lot more like the NBA. And so, yeah, I mean, we have essentially a front office staff. We have, now hopefully the rules change where that front office staff, just like the NBA, can go out and like actually live scout recruits and so forth. You can't do that at the moment, but yeah, I mean, we're pretty organized. We try to be anyway with staying on top of stuff. We not a whole lot of things. We try to not have a whole lot of things sneak up on us. Even now with rules of guys playing in the G League now, all of a sudden maybe could come play in colleges. So we and if you look at my staff, we have a lot of backgrounds that can cover a lot of different areas, and I think that is a strength of our group.
Kevin, you haven't ever shied away from expectations from the minute you stepped in the program. Even this year, they're even higher than last year. Are you still kind of leaning into that? And is it, some people are saying Final Four or bust. Is that? Is that where you're at?
No, not at all. I mean, I want our guys to have a great practice tomorrow, right? I want us to come in and get better from whatever film I show tomorrow and then come back the next day and do the same thing. I know it sounds really cliche and coachy. That's how I live my life. That's how I've always coached, and I think that's the only way you can really get better. The good thing for us is we have guys in our program that, you know, it wasn't all peaches and cream last year. We had to pound the rock. We had to stack day after day after day. And Richie knows that. Kaba knows that. Dawson knows it. Mihailo knows it. Jared McGregor knows it. All my coaches know it. And they're helping the new guys understand that's how we operate. I don't care if we're picked dead last, first, doesn't matter. That's how we do it. And I've made that very clear to our players.
Coach, as someone who's coached in G League, NBA, you mentioned how, you know, it's been in the headlines now, G League player coming to the end, or back to NCAA. Does that rule make sense to you? I guess some coaches seem confused by it or don't agree with it.
It makes tons of sense to me because it's the exact same thing as the European players. I don't think that, like, it's literally the exact same thing. Like now, look, if you're an NBA guy that's on an NBA contract, I mean, the G League is no different than the Euro League. It's not the NBA. It's right. It's just not. Now, if you're on a two-way contract and you're on an NBA contract, you're an NBA player. If you're not, what's the difference of a guy coming from all these European clubs? So it's the same thing. So I'm a lot of things that make sense don't actually happen. For me, this actually does make sense. Now, if you want to strip away both sets of it, okay, great. But that's kind of how I see it. Yeah.
You mentioned Rob. He gets his kind of unofficial debut, I guess, just in the first half of Nebraska. But did you see anything out of him that either surprised you or maybe validated kind of the reason why you guys went in and got him out of the pool?
I don't think anything surprised me. I'm validated, yes, for sure. I mean, you know, I think it's in several areas. Number one, he's dynamic. I think he's one of the most dynamic guys in the country because he's so fast with the ball in his hands, right? And so, you know, obviously a lot of people want to talk about AJ, a lot of people want to talk about Richie, you know, and then all of a sudden you're worried about those two, and Rob just breaks his man down off the dribble and gets to the basket. You saw a number of times, even in the short stints he had in that game. And so, I mean, he's gonna really be a really important part of our team. And then not to mention, like, one thing I spend a ton of time on, and this is where the Nebraska game, we couldn't do this, and to your question about the Carolina game, I spend hours upon hours upon hours on lineups, rotations, who's subbing in for who, how can we, I mean, this was my job when I was in the NBA. Like, that was what I was tasked to do. How are we gonna sub Kevin Durant and Devin Booker and Chris Paul to optimize all those guys? So taking some of that, and Akash, my analytics guy who was with me in the NBA, he's here now. We're drawing comparisons to how we subbed it with Kevin and Book, and how can we do that with Rob and AJ and Richie. And so trying to optimize those lineups where AJ's off the floor, how can we sort of feature other guys and so forth. And Rob obviously plays a huge role in that, and that's why he's here.
How do you see Kaba evolving in year 2 in your program?
You know, I hate to say this about guys, but some guys are just true. Like, some guys are just gamers, and that's what he is. You know, he just, when the lights come on, man, the guy just takes it to another level. So I'm trying to tap into that more with him in practice to get him to just bring that juice every day. I think he's gonna. One, I think he'll play more, right? I think it was hard to take him off the floor last year because he's so good defensively and he puts so much pressure on the rim offensively. So I don't know if I see him growing. Like, I don't think he's going to come out and start shooting step-back threes. I think you're going to see the same Kaba, just hopefully more of it. I do think his free throw shooting is an area we invested a lot of time this summer. He's a guy that's got to be able to knock them down at a higher clip than he did, and he's taken personal pride in that, and I look forward to seeing an improved free throw shooter.
Were there any other guys that took big statistical jumps in the offseason, able with free throws, but any other guys that took big leaps in their shooting?
I mean, I think Mihailo will, because I think Mihailo is going to be a lot less stressed this year. Like, he came in the game too many times last year and was really, I think, validating his success on shooting threes. And so I think he's now taking better shots. I think they're going in at a higher clip. So in terms of shooting, I would point to him. But in terms of stuff that isn't shooting related, I think like Richie's improved as a passer. I think his ability to find cable for lobs and things like that. He had one yesterday at practice that was really impressive. So I think that's something he's added a little bit to his game.
BYU basketball head coach Kevin Young in a breakout session at Big 12 Media Days. Again, you'll hear my one-on-one conversation with Coach Young next week. I liked his commentary about the G League because it makes sense. You get these European leagues, the guys play professionally over there, and then they come to college basketball. What's the difference? If they're not on a NBA two-way deal, what's the issue? And this is of note, too, because BYU is in the mix for Abdullah Ahmed from the Westchester Knicks. He's got it down to 3 schools: Houston, BYU, and Mississippi State. And what was interesting was that Kelvin Sampson was talking about G League players in his roundtable discussion and mentioned that his son, who's an assistant coach on the Houston staff, informed Kelvin that they're recruiting a guy that is currently in the G League. And Kelvin Sampson was like, I didn't even realize that. And that just so happens to be a guy that BYU is also pursuing. Now, we'll see where Abdullah Ahmed ends up, but he said on IG, what's the move? So we'll see where he ends up landing. But I'm with KY. Why not? If they're not in the NBA, and you can get European guys from other pro leagues, but it's not the NBA, what's the difference? I think it's fine. And if they're in that 18 to 23-year-old age range, make it happen. I'm fine with that. I think it's good. Let's get back to the gridiron because it is game week after all. Let's get some Big 12 football picks.
Big 12 picks. In the deepest conference in America, anything can happen. Mitch tries to tell you what will happen next. It's his Big 12 picks. Big 12 picks.
Week 9 in the Big 12 football conference. Hard to believe, is it not? We'll rapid fire some of these games here. Kansas State at Kansas, 10 a.m. on TNT. I'm going to go with K-State to get their 17th consecutive victory in the Sunflower Showdown. Oklahoma State at number 14, Texas Tech, 2 p.m. on ESPNU. What in the world? A nationally ranked team on ESPNU. Doesn't make sense to me. Will Hammond is reportedly going to get the start at quarterback once again for the Red Raiders. I'm going to go with Texas Tech big over Oklahoma State. Baylor at number 21, Cincinnati, 2 p.m. on ESPN2. Give me Baylor to pull off the upset. I think Baylor's offense can go blow for blow with everything Cincinnati has to offer. I think Baylor finds a way to pull off an upset, and we get more Big 12 mayhem in the league. TCU at West Virginia, 4 p.m. on ESPN+. I'll go with TCU. West Virginia is just lucky they have Oklahoma State in this league because it has been a mess for Rich Rod in year 1. I think they're further behind than expected. They've had a lot of injuries, and I'm willing to give them a little bit of benefit of the doubt there, but they have not been competitive. The most competitive game was against BYU, and anyone watching that game knew that West Virginia wasn't going to win. They had 2 touchdowns courtesy of turnovers by BYU. West Virginia has not been competitive one bit. Houston at number 24, Arizona State, 6 p.m. on ESPN2. Star wide receiver for Arizona State, Jordan Tyson, is out in this game. I'm going to go with Arizona State. It's a really good matchup. 6-1 Houston, 5-2 Arizona State, fresh off the big win over Tech, but I like ASU at home. And then finally, Colorado at Utah, 8:15 p.m. on ESPN. Utah quarterback Devin Dampier is questionable for this game, so we'll see if the Utes end up going with Bird Ficklin at quarterback or not. It was clear Dampier was banged up significantly in that second half against BYU. Do the Utes have a fall off after he lost to BYU? I don't think they will, even if they have to play Bird Ficklin. I'm going to go with Utah to take down Colorado at home. But the Buffs are coming off a bye week fresh, even though they got a long availability report. I think Utah still finds a way to get that victory. Let's take our final break. On the other side, you'll hear from BYU freshman and preseason AP All-American AJ Dybantsa next here on Cougar Tracks. Welcome back into Cougar Tracks here on KSL NewsRadio and the KSL Sports YouTube page. Every day, Monday through Friday, and then even on Saturdays on a post-game show, we're breaking down BYU sports here on Cougar Tracks. And coming up tomorrow, BYU basketball is going to take on the North Carolina Tar Heels, number 25 team in the country, at the Delta Center in Salt Lake City, 7 p.m. tip on ESPN Plus between the Cougars and Tar Heels. First time North Carolina is making a trip to the state of Utah since 1988. 37 years. North Carolina doesn't come out west very often, even in NCAA tournament play. Seems like they're always playing along Tobacco Road. It used to always be Greensboro, Charlotte. They never leave the east, it seems like. And so getting North Carolina out west to play in Salt Lake, pretty cool deal. It's just a shame that the game is not being played in Provo, one, and that it's also not a regular season game. And then you pair on top of all of that, expensive tickets for an exhibition. Is there much appetite to go to the game? At some point, fans got to say, can't keep paying the prices for all of these games and all of these increases, because at some point you got to go, I got to know my limits here. I'm going to save my cash for bigger games that actually count in the standings. But nonetheless, seeing AJ Dybantsa, I think, is worth the price of admission. His first game as a BYU Cougar in the exhibition against Nebraska, he had 30 points in the setback against the Cornhuskers. AJ was a spectacle at Big 12 basketball media days. Everyone wanted to talk to AJ, including Lethal Shooter, a guy that is a YouTuber who specializes in shooting the basketball at a high clip. And I asked AJ about his connection to Lethal Shooter to start things off in my interview at Big 12 Basketball Media Day.
So AJ, fun question for you here, Big 12 Media Day. Saw Lethal Shooter here. Didn't you do a video with Lethal Shooter? You guys collab with Red Bull?
Yeah, like a couple months ago, me and Red Bull collab. He came over to BYU. We had like a little workout.
Now, do you understand what with him? What did he teach you?
He taught me a lot of shooting habits, like the bad things I was bad on my shot, so kind of fixed the fluidity with it, and I'm getting better.
How, what do you think of this now that it's here? I mean, we were just talking moments ago, just seeing you at Utah Prep, going through the process. You've been a high-profile guy for years now, but now to be here in college basketball and time's here.
I mean, it's good. It's great, actually. Like, just getting the college feel. I'm getting college workouts, getting college coaching. It's just overall way better, obviously, because it's at a higher level.
What were your thoughts on the first game, exhibition? Probably didn't want the outcome that way, but 30 points in your first college game.
Yeah, it was good. It was good and bad. Obviously, you can learn a lot from losses, so that was a good part. As an exhibition, so it doesn't count. Losses really hurt us, but it was good. Just get a feel for our away game, get a feel for how the student sections are going to interact with y'all.
Going into this season, how do you stay focused on this year at hand? Because I know you've been consistent all along. You want to take this program to new heights that they've never reached. But how do you tune out like the NBA distractions, because that's going to be always a talking point with you?
I mean, obviously that's my ultimate goal. So if I do what I'm supposed to do, I'm supposed to get there. So I just try to do as much as I can to help the team win now.
How does KY prepare you think for the NBA? I know you haven't been there yet, but just the feedback you hear from NBA personnel, like what is it about KY that he does that gets you NBA ready?
I think it's just the play style. That's obviously one of the reasons why I came here. He runs an NBA type offense, NBA type defense. And he just knows that he coached some of my favorite players all the time, so he knows exactly what to do with guys of my caliber.
How fun has it been to play with Rob Wright? And Rob told me a few weeks back that you guys have a pretty good connection, but how would you describe it?
Nah, it's crazy. Like he probably the best point guard I ever played with. Like he knows exactly where to place the ball, where to throw the ball. I don't know how he does it. got insane vision. But yeah, it's been fun so far. It's gonna be a great season.
What makes him so good in the paint, you think?
And I think his ability to get in the paint is actually very special. Like, he's actually super fast, so I got to guard him in practice sometimes. I can't stay in front of him because he's so fast. He gets in the paint every single time. And obviously, he's one of the better playmakers in the country. So when he gets in the paint, it's kind of just a done deal because he can spray left, he can spray right, throw the lob, or he can, finish himself with a floater.
Are there guys on this team that we're sleeping on the media about this team? Because we talk about you, Richie, Rob, but guys that are going to make a name for themselves on this team.
I mean, obviously the whole team. So I don't want to even single anybody out. But I mean, obviously the whole team. But if you really want me to single somebody out, I think a lot of people that should know about, Moo Davis. Obviously coming in like defensive dog. He guard me every day in practice. I be having trouble sometimes. But we have other guys like Kadeem Boop. And crazy energy. You seen it against the Nebraska game. Kaba, Xavier, Dom, Tyler, everybody. Nate Pickens, like the whole team, really. So I don't even want to single nobody out.
Speaking of crazy energy, what did you think of the BYU football game against Utah being there in the end zone? You guys make the trip after the Nebraska game, but your thoughts on the energy at that stadium?
It was crazy. That was my first Holy War, so definitely just wanted to get that down. Because I don't, you never know, we might not be able to go to Utah, so when I BYU, it was just a must. I have to go to. I go to the Rock, try to get it jumping in the Rock.
And you met Ryder Lyons. So was that your first time meeting him?
Yeah, it was my first time meeting him. Yeah.
You guys are like the Aura Kings at BYU. I mean, you guys got all the clout.
Yeah, I mean, it was fun hanging with him. Obviously, he had like a little documentary going on, but it was fun just him being a recruit, having to go to their games. Same thing with me when I was a recruit going to BYU's basketball games. I understood it.
Last couple things here for you, AJ. Just how do you feel like you've evolved since April as a player here at BYU?
I got stronger. I'm up to like 215 now. My three-point shot improved. I think my paint decisions are getting better. I think I'm just a better overall basketball player.
And then last thing, just your thoughts on navigating the Big 12. This league's talked about as being a physical league. How ready are you for that challenge this season?
Yeah, I am. I mean, it's definitely going to be physical. It's definitely going to be a challenge, obviously seeing it from last year, but I'm ready to adjust.
And that's AJ Dybantsa, BYU, preseason AP All-American and preseason first team All Big 12 selection right here on Cougar Tracks. And that's going to do it for this edition, Thursday edition of Cougar Tracks. Coming up tomorrow, an in-depth breakdown of BYU football versus Iowa State. Kickoff on Saturday between the Cougars and the Cyclones is at 1:30 p.m. Extended pregame begins at 10 a.m. Myself in Ames, Iowa. I'll have you covered for the Cougs and the Cyclones coming up this weekend. And then tomorrow we'll break down the game here on Cougar Tracks. So talk to you then here on Cougar Tracks, and it's powered by KSL Sports and KSL News Radio.